I really hope the sound works because I forgot to test it. So, yo, I just left for my show. Sorry. Be over later. Alright, we're going live in a couple seconds. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeremy Lapidus, host of the Triple Threat Show, live on WXJM 88.7 FM Harrisonburg, Virginia, and WXJM.org. I already said it, but my name is Jeremy Lapidus, your host today of the Triple Threat Show, joined as always by my friend and co-host,
Shane Brisland.
Later, hopefully, we will have the other two here, our co-hosts, Peter Kegwin and Caleb Carney.
Yeah, so if there's like an awkward pause where you just hear a bunch of doors opening and stuff and footsteps, it's because we're running to open the door for them.
Yeah, so, just ignore that. We'll do our best to get it through there, but scheduling conflicts, it's the end of the semester. People have things to do. It's totally understandable. They're still texting me. Doesn't matter. Actually, it might be Eli. Happy birthday, Eli. I know you're not listening, but happy birthday. Yeah. Cool. Anyway, how have you been, Shane? It's been a week since the last show.
It sure has. The weeks are just all blending together at this point, and we only got so many weeks left. It's kind of like a very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a melancholy time because the semester's coming to an end.
Yeah.
You're happy to move on to the summer, but you're also going to say goodbye to some seniors who are graduating.
I think you nailed it.
Seniors feel the same way.
Mm-hmm. Probably. Oh, yeah, Caleb's graduating.
Yeah. Lauren, Joe, Dylan.
Yeah, all these people.
Yeah, we're going to miss them.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's
That's going to be us next year, though.
Ooh.
It's a terrifying thought.
It's alright. We have a whole nother year of the Triple Threat Show.
Heck yeah.
But today is another really big episode. Last week, we spent a whole lot of time doing NBA predictions. This week, we're going to do the same thing with the NHL. The NHL playoffs started on Monday. Each series has played one game. We're going to do our best to not have the factor into our predictions, but all's fair. We've seen what happens. Maybe a prediction changed. I'm not going to hold you to what you have on your computer now.
Because this was before Game 1. I think I'm just going to stand by it because I already had this in place before things started, so I'm not going to have any Game 1 influence of me.
That's good. I'm going to have some Game 1 influence.
That's fine.
But I'm going to try my best not to. Yeah. Also, NBA playoffs, we have a lot of things that went on. Draymond Green. We'll talk about that when we get to the end of the NBA playoffs, along with some surprising results. A couple of those series, actually, I think all those series are 2 games in. No? I think most of them are 2 games in. 1 or 2, I don't remember. I'd have to look. A lot of them are 2 games in. But, yeah.
It's one Google search away.
It is one Google search away. A Google search I will not be doing right now.
You'll just hear me typing in the background.
No, I don't think everything's done 2 games, but I think 6 of the 8 have. That's not important though. What is important, there was also a massive contract, and massive contract in the NFL. And we'll get to all of that later. So for now, Shane.
Yep. Is it my time to shine?
We are going to do the 2nd annual Triple Threat Show NHL playoff prediction episode. Shane, where would you like to start?
I would like to start off, first off, with the first place team in the entire league, the Boston Bruins. They are going against the Florida Panthers in the first round. And yes, Boston already played Florida. They won 3-1 in Game 1. Boston looks just as good. They didn't have Bergeron play because he was out with an illness. Did not matter. Boston looked great. They're just so good defensively. Their lineup is so deep. I think 90% of the people who filled out brackets have Boston winning this series. I have them winning in 5. I gave Florida the pity win just because I feel like Matthew Tkachuk will probably carry them to 1. But I would not surprise me if it's a sweep. I think Boston, they're the team to beat. throughout these entire playoffs. And Florida, they snuck in. They are just really inconsistent. And Matthew Tkachuk would have to will them into a second-round playoff berth and a huge upset.
Yeah, so obviously I have the Bruins here. This isn't one of those games where I'm like, oh my god, the Bruins, they're going to get, it's not going to happen. No,
Yeah.
The Bruins are going to win. I have them in 4. But that game, it was 3-1. And we could talk about this a little bit. We'll break down game 1 while we're doing these predictions.
Yeah.
It was 3-1, but it was a lot closer than that score entails. There were a couple fluky goals for Boston. You know, it just sat on top of the goaltender's pad,
But that,
and he lost it.
crashed the net.
It's still a fluky goal. Like, he stopped that, and it just was sitting there, and, you know, it's one of those things. There were a couple...
That's hockey for you.
I know it's hockey, but he did make that save. So 3-1, it's a close game.
It's a close game.
But it looks...
It's not like Florida played bad.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say here. 3-1, when you look at it, you're like, oh, it's a close game, but Boston probably was pretty in control for most of it.
Yeah.
If you actually watched it, yeah, they were in control, but it was a lot closer than a 3-1 score would make it look like.
But I think that's how this series is going to go. It's going to be a close series, but Boston's going to win those close games, 4 times out of 7. So
Right, that's all you need.
That's all you need. So that's why, again, we're picking the Bruins, but I think Florida will put up a valiant effort.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a sweep.
Now, moving on to the more debatable series. We're back at it again, Toronto and Tampa. First off, I want to say, before we make our predictions, I get confused watching.
I know, right?
Because it's the exact same jerseys.
I know, and they don't always wear the home jerseys at home.
Yeah.
So, like, the white one should be the home team, but it's not always like that.
But you could, interchange the stadiums, too, because it's
just an ice rink.
Yeah, and then, all the fans, they're going to be wearing,
They're all going to be
it doesn't matter,
blue and
because
white.
even if it's a whiteout, you still can't tell, all right, is this Toronto or Tampa? Which team's which? So I have to be all right, Toronto is blue today. Just got to keep that in mind.
It's the same thing last year. I was watching and I was like, yes, they scored. Wait, what?
Which team was it?
That's the other team that got a point. Hold on. What is going on? No, it's one of those things that, it's so annoying.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
I also heard that, I saw somewhere on a hockey page where it was Tampa should have kept the black jerseys just to help differentiate themselves from Toronto a little bit, because they did have black as their primary color. It was black, blue, and white back in the early 2000s, and that would have made it a lot more easy. It's easier to distinguish them. They would still look similar, but at least it's pretty much almost copy paste, just different logo.
Right. And the logos look kind of similar too.
Yeah.
It's a circle with either a lightning bolt or a leaf.
Yeah, and they're both plain white, so it's not helpful at all.
No, it's not. But yeah, this is a very interesting series. I've been saying this all season that I think Toronto, this is their year. And I'm not gonna back off of that as much as Game 1 has made me want to. So badly.
Game 1 was everything went wrong for Toronto.
When you lose 7-3, it's not an easy look, but I'm thinking back to last playoffs. Toronto opened up against Tampa, and they won basically 7-3 against them last year in Game 1.
Yeah.
And I flipped my prediction. I was like, ooh,
this is Toronto's year.
This is Toronto's year because I was all in on Tampa before we did the show, and then we started the show. After that, I was like, oh, that was really bad. I think I have to change my mind. So I'm not going to do it this year. I'm going to stick with Toronto, and it's still going to be a 7-game series. These two teams are going to go back and forth. They're super high-powered on offense. Goaltending is a little suspect for Toronto.
I want to give that game a mulligan, just because Toronto took so many penalties. That Michael Bunting 5-minute major.
That was stupid.
It was so stupid.
That was so dumb.
The puck was nowhere near the guy, and you just throw a shoulder at his head. What do you think is going to happen?
I'm sure there's some kind of backstory.
And before
that,
they had 3 or 4 penalties where they scored on the power play, and it's just, you can't in the modern NHL, you can't take penalties.
Right.
So I kind of want to just give that game a wash. Toronto was just... I don't know if I can say this word on the radio.
Bad? Really bad?
No, they were just...
Unlucky.
Yeah, just unlucky from the very beginning.
Not
they
disciplined.
Were just undisciplined.
Yeah.
And it was just an awful start. But again, it's a 7-game series. There's still plenty of time to recover from it.
So I'm gonna stick with Toronto in 7, although really got me wavering here.
Yeah.
They really got me wavering here. It's so hard for me to come out here and say that right now.
Yeah. And then Tampa also, they're going to be dealing with injuries. Because I heard Hedman...
Is Hedman out for a while? That is a huge thing.
I haven't looked at it. I know Hedman didn't play last game.
Right.
There was also Chernak. He was the one who got hit in the head. I don't know how he's doing. He didn't play for the rest of the game. And then there was another player who also got put in concussion protocol. I can't remember his name. But there's like 3 players on Tampa, 3 starters that are not playing next game.
Right, and Hedman's obviously one of the best defensemen in the league.
Yeah.
That's a huge blow for them. They did fine on the power play without him, but he's obviously a massive part of that power play unit.
Sergachev, he's a number 1 defenseman on like half the NHL teams.
Right.
So he could definitely quarterback that power play. I'm not worried about that. It's just depth scoring at this point. Because if you get thin on defense, I mean, Andre Vasilevsky, he's good enough to outweigh that. But still, you would like some depth anywhere in the NHL.
If there's any goalie that I'm going to leave hang out to dry, it's going to be Vasilevsky.
Yeah. So, but again, Tampa, they're older. They've went, 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals appearances. It's got to weigh on them eventually. And Toronto, they're still trying to get that monkey off their backs. But until that monkey comes off their back,
they can't do anything.
I just can't pick them.
I know.
This has happened too many times. I can't pick against the streak. I had Tampa in 7 even before game 1. It's just, as much as I want to pick Toronto, I just physically couldn't. Because it's like, I can't have my heart. I just can't. I just can't do it again.
Yeah, it's gonna happen again.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the most heartbreaking one too.
With how bad game 1 went, you're just like, here we go again.
Like they were up like 4-1 on Boston that one time. They're gonna be up 5-0.
Just absolutely.
And they're gonna blow it. They're gonna lose in regulation somehow. There's gonna be 10 minutes left. They're gonna be up 5-0, and then something's gonna go down, and they're gonna,
Poor Toronto.
Poor Toronto.
Poor Toronto.
It is going to end eventually. I promise. Hopefully. Actually, I don't promise.
Yeah.
It'll stop eventually, I'm sure.
It's just funny watching general manager for Toronto, Kyle Dubas, watch the game because this is his... Whether or not he gets a contract extension with the Leafs is determined on this series.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, he'll easily find a job somewhere else, but it's just... If he wanted to stay in Toronto and see this thing through, this is his, last moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not confident in that goaltending. Samsonov looked rough. Matt Murray's just super inconsistent.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who their third string is, but again, when you're calling on a third string, that's usually not a good sign.
I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
There are, I was trying to do the math in my head. 3 former Capital goalies starting in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
That's almost...
Grubauer, Samsonov, Vitek.
I was trying to think if there was another... and I couldn't remember.
Just what team does Varlamov play on now?
Varlamov? I don't think
he used to be on the Islanders.
He's not starting.
He's not starting, but I think he could be a backup somewhere. I can't remember.
Maybe he's still on the Islanders. I don't know.
Maybe.
I was thinking about that last night. I was like, wow, look at all these goalie prospects we could have had.
Oh no!
Instead of Kemper.
And then also, I think. He's on the Kings, but Phoenix Copley.
Oh, he is on the Kings.
He's on the Kings, but he didn't start. He's the backup. So
they're everywhere.
Yeah, he was a backup for Holtby for a bit, but yeah, the Caps just. This is just not the year to talk about the Caps or Penguins. Speaking of the Caps and Penguins, moving on to the Metro Division.
Ooh, my camera opened. I took some pictures.
Oh, sweet.
It was of my shirt.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a very nice shirt, though.
It is.
So,
look at this picture quality, Shane. Good pictures, right?
What happened? Were you just like fiddling with your
I was
phone?
just fiddling with it. I guess I hit the little oh, I screenshot it. I guess I hit this little camera button.
Okay. Sweet. Well, moving on, let's go to Carolina Islanders. I think this series is going to be deceptively close. Going in, Carolina, they lost Max Pacioretty. He re-injured his Achilles. So that hope, like he was just a bona fide goal scorer for these past few years. He's a veteran presence. And that injury, I don't know if Pacioretty's coming back. We'll stay tuned to see if he can continue his career. And then Andrei Svechnikov, one of their best forwards, went down with a season-ending injury. But this team still has a ton of depth. They're still one of the best defensive teams in the league. If it wasn't for Boston, they would they have the second fewest goals against in the NHL. And they're also going against an Islanders team who is also really good defensively, has one of the best goalies in the league in Ilya Sorokin. And I think this is going to be a low-scoring, like, grind type of matchup.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
But
I
really don't think the Islanders are going to win this. Like, I guess...
me neither. I don't think they're going to win either. I'm just going to say I think it's a closer than people think it's going to be.
Like, I think of all... Actually, I won't say that, because there's a lot of not great series in the East. I was going to say it was the third least competitive, but then I looked down and I was
2-1.
like... Yeah, I know, but then I looked down and was like, oh, the Devils aren't really being competitive with the Rangers.
Not yet. It's game one. We'll talk about that series more later, but Carolina Islanders.
I know Sorokin's good. I know he is. I just don't see it. I think I know Carolina's hurt. I think Carolina wins this in 5. I'm not feeling it from this Islanders team. They don't have that it factor. They don't have that clutch gene in them.
They very much limped into playoffs, which
Right.
is not a good sign.
They don't have, like, if I'm in the clutch, like, I know they went out and they got Bo Horvat,
But he hasn't done much.
There's no one on that team that I look at and they say, if I need a big possession, you can give it to me right now.
Yeah.
There's no one on that team that I see and I'm like, yes, that's the one, you know?
Yeah.
And every contender needs that guy. I don't think Carolina has it right now either, but I think they're just a better
They
team.
have more than the Islanders because Sebastian Aho has come into his own. Like, he's like a borderline elite player in my eyes.
Right, but their main guys are hurt.
Yeah.
You went through all the injuries and stuff.
Svechnikov was a really good winger.
Right, Svechnikov is the guy that I would say him. He's the one.
Pacioretty, goal scorer.
Yeah.
And now they're missing elements of that, but they're still a good, solid team up and down the lineup. They have so much depth and they're so good defensively. They play cohesively.
Right, and that's why I think they're going to win this one, because neither of these teams really have that it guy that I look for on a contender, so I don't think either of these teams are going to make it out of the second round.
Yeah.
But I think Carolina, you talked about it, the depth that they have is just... Depth is super important in hockey.
Yeah.
Because it's so physical. People get injured all the time. They play through it. Hockey players are so tough. But it's just... I think it's going to be too much for the Islanders.
Yeah, and Carolina won their division, again, for a reason. They also have one of the best back ends in the league, with Slavin being one of the best defensive defensemen in the league. Brent Burns can control a power play. Shane Gothisbehere has had a resurgence in his career. Brett Pesce, also a really underrated defenseman. They're just so solid defensively. There's a reason why they keep making the playoffs. They just have a really good defensive structure. But I still think this is going to be a close series just because of Ilya Sorokin. I have Carolina in 6.
It's fair. That's fair. All right.
What's your... Did you...
I've got Carolina in 5.
That's fair.
Yeah, like I said, I don't... This New York team isn't doing it for me.
Oh, I got confused. I was thinking of the other New York team.
No. There's like 3 New York teams right in a row in this bracket. The Islanders aren't doing it for me.
All right. So speaking of the other New York team, New York, New Jersey, the battle of they're just so close to each other.
Yeah, they are.
And Game 1 was very disappointing from a hockey fan standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be really close. You have the young underdogs versus like the veteran heavy team, and Rangers just kind of blew them out of the water.
Yeah, they did. You know what? Before we break this down, got a question for you, Shane.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing with the Rangers. Last year we were going into the playoffs and we were talking about how they were this young, up-and-coming team, and this year we're like, they're the old guys, you know?
Yeah.
They went out and they got Patrick Kane and they got Tarasenko, but aside from that, their team hasn't... It's just a year older, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't
Panarin's old, Trouba's old, but they've got a good mix of like really young guys and really old guys.
So I don't know where that distinction is between the old veterans and... Because it's only been 1 year,
Because it's
you know?
they also got Vincent Trocheck in the free agency, and he's kind of like a veteran center. So it's just like they acquired a bunch of pieces to add some like experience in the lineup. So I think, but compared to New Jersey, they're a lot.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And then just the playoff Stanley Cup experience.
Yeah.
Like Patrick Kane alone, that presence.
It's a lot of games.
Yeah. And like they just showed that they were the more, veteran-ready team for the playoffs.
Right.
The Rangers been there, they had their deep runs, and they kind of owned a young, inexperienced New Jersey team who's tasting playoffs for the first time in a while.
Yeah. We saw it. I thought this was going to be a close series.
Yeah.
Obviously, Game 1 happened. That wasn't very close.
What was the final score? Like
5-1.
5-1?
It was either 5-1 or 5-0. I'm pretty sure it was 5-1.
Yeah.
There were other better games on. I'm not going to lie. I kind of turned this one off halfway through. So I can't really give
The biggest question mark for me in this series was goaltending for New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of showed in the first game where Vitek just did not look good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Igor is just, again, one of the best goalies in the league. The Rangers just have a star at every position. They have so much depth. I think I had them as like my Stanley Cup final. They were my Eastern Conference champion before the season started,
mm-hmm.
and they only got so much better.
Right.
And I had the Rangers winning this before the playoffs started, but it doesn't look as close as I thought it would be.
Right.
Because at first I had Rangers in 7. I think I'm gonna lower it, probably just to Rangers in 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing. I also had Rangers in 7. We had a little conversation on Sunday or something about the bracket, but yeah, I had Rangers in 7. But looking at this, I'm not gonna say that they get swept because I believe in this Devils team. I think they got some really nice pieces there.
Jack Hughes has yet to pop off in the playoffs.
This could be his time.
Yeah.
Game 2, right? But I'm gonna bring down that number to. I don't want to go down to 5. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it at 6. 5 seems too low.
Yeah.
I still think the Devils can take a couple.
If their goaltending doesn't figure it out, then it could be a 5-game series.
Yeah, I know it could. 6 games. I think I like this Devils team a lot. It's just they drew a tough draw. Honestly, I think if they were playing Carolina, I think they might win that series.
Yeah, it's
against
a lot closer
Carolina.
of a matchup. Yeah.
They just got a tough draw there.
Yeah.
Playing against the Rangers, and it's unfortunate, but that's how it goes. Half of it's luck, half of it's skill.
Yep. Do we want to move on to the Western Conference?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's start off with the defending Stanley Cup champions, in
Yes.
the Colorado Avalanche. They are currently facing off against the Seattle Kraken, and in a surprising turn of events for Game 1, Seattle 3-1 win in Colorado.
Dude.
Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this series so far?
Dude, we had this conversation.
Yeah.
We had this conversation. I was so on the fence about this series.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys listening understand how on the fence I was about this series. Shane can tell you a little bit, but I went from they're not going to do it to maybe they can do it to they're going to do it in the matter of 3 seconds.
Very true. Jeremy, we were talking about playoffs while we were watching the games, and he was like, I think Seattle could do it.
It's so tough because the Avalanche are good, man.
Yeah.
They're hurt. They're injured.
They've been battling injuries all season.
They're not healthy.
Yeah.
I'm out of synonyms now,
Yeah.
but that's the reason.
They don't have Landeskog.
They don't.
Landeskog is done for. He's not playing in playoffs
At all?
At all.
I thought he was going to come back.
No, he's done.
Ooh.
Landeskog has been like injury prone for his entire career, and I think like it's finally all starting to like build up on him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much we're gonna see of him like in the future, but like we'll see how his recovery goes. But you still have the stars on Colorado. They have the experience to come back, and they're the defending champs. My issue though is again goaltending. They didn't need the most spectacular goaltending last season. They had Francois and Kemper playing fine. They weren't anything spectacular, but they did good enough where you could get the win. And they've lost a few stars, but it's still, you have Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Mikko Rantanen, one of the most underrated players in the league. He had a 50-something goal season. And they've been there, done that. I think
Right.
This is just a little hiccup. I
don't want to overreact to game one.
Yeah.
But
because I think Colorado, I think they need to shake off. I think they probably came in cocky.
yeah,
Like
it's
Seattle is
tough.
the underdog mentality. They're an expansion team. They embrace that.
It's tough to repeat.
Yeah.
It's really tough to repeat in hockey, and you've seen it this season with them. The amount of injuries that they have, it's not just because some of their players are injury prone. It's also because how deep into the calendar they had to play.
Yeah.
I mean, we forget about it. We were also talking about this. I think Monday when we were watching the Stars game. We were talking Stars Wild game. Excuse me. We were talking about. I was like, wasn't I at home for the first round of the Stanley Cup last year? And I mean, I had forgotten. I don't know if you remember, but because of the COVID breakdown, the playoffs got pushed back like a month.
Yeah.
So they were playing into July.
Yeah.
That is such a quick turnaround for these guys.
Yeah. Short off season.
Such a short off season. It's really kind of unfair. And I mean, every champion has to deal with it, but them more so than any other champion in the past because of the schedule. So I think that has to do a lot with why they're so injured. That being said, they still have McKinnon and Makar playing, So it's one of those things that I so badly want to pick Seattle. I really do. I'm going to do it, No, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm just going to do it. Seattle in 7.
Yeah, so Seattle's got depth.
Right,
Like,
and their defense is so good.
They've proved throughout the season that all four lines can score. Because I think Daniel Sprong, another former Cap, he had like 20 goals, and he mainly played on the bottom six. And like, expansion teams, they get all these depth players from other teams.
Right.
And then you really see, like, given the opportunity, some of them flourish. Matthew Beniers also, he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. Like, this is his time to shine. And, like what I said, depth really helps in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But, like, again, they don't have a star, which is kind of the issue. I don't know what is going to be their it guy who's going to score a clutch goal. And their I still don't trust their goaltending. But maybe Philip Grubauer goes on his revenge tour against Colorado.
Maybe.
That's another factor.
That would be fun.
Grubauer's revenge tour. But it's still Colorado. I can't bet against that. I just don't trust that goaltending. Like Grubauer, again, he's showed before in the playoffs, he's just not clutch. At least not in past the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to go against Colorado's star power. I'm going to give Seattle more credit. I had Colorado in 5 initially. After that game, I think it's going to be Colorado in 6.
All right. Welcome in, Caleb.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm tired.
That's fair.
I've been trying to clean up my presentation for a big presentation I have on Friday for my capstone. So, just trying to keep life going.
Yes, sir.
Get stuff done.
Do you have the bracket pulled up? We've run through the Eastern
yeah.
Conference.
All right, you guys are through the East?
Yeah, so if you want to just give your, real quick, your winner in how many games in the East, and then we're currently talking about first series in the West. So, who you got?
All right. So for the Bruins Panthers,
Yeah.
I have Bruins. They sweep.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Don't blame me on that one.
I don't know how don't know if that's a very controversial take.
That's not controversial.
I don't think it is at all. For the Maple Leafs versus Lightning, I have the Leafs beating them in 6.
Ooh.
Wow,
Yeah,
6.
That's a spicy take.
that's a spicy take.
That's a spicy take.
Yeah.
I could go into that.
Go for it.
I think it's a little crazy. So, Toronto has a little bit of a duo going on, Matthews and Marner.
Mhm.
They've been lethal. As of recent, I'm going to be honest, I've watched them play quite a few good games.
They're a fun team to watch, but playoffs is a whole different story.
I know, but I'm hoping it carries over, and if it does carry over, I think it could be a pretty spicy take that I think would be fun.
That's super spicy. I don't know if you watched Game 1. 7-3 loss.
I know.
There were a lot of Toronto was just very undisciplined.
Yeah.
Like they just took so many penalties.
I think it was like a shock. It was a cultural shock for them. I think that was the issue, is they kind of showed up and they were like, we don't know what we're doing. And then they were like, oh, we are behind, and then they just started giving up penalties.
Yeah.
And
I think it was just a very fluky game for them.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen them play like that this year. I think that was historically bad.
Well, yeah, because they just do that in the playoffs.
Yeah. But I still think they could find a way to turn it around, get it fixed. If not, I think it's going to be a sad story for them. I think it'd be fun if they could find a way to get it in through 6, but if not, I could see this being pretty bad in 5 for them.
Wow.
But they got to figure out how to get it turned around very quickly.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to watch them go on a little bit of a hot run.
So, I mean, we see this in a lot of teams. Once you beat that, I mean, if I'm just using the Washington area teams, the Caps, once they got past the second round, gone.
Right.
Nats, once they got past that the divisional series, gone.
Colorado, when they won
exactly.
the second round, gone.
I think it's that hump that you have to get over in the playoffs, and every team has it. You know, it just once you get over it, you do it. As a Caps fan, when I was watching them, when Kuznetsov scored that overtime goal to eliminate the Penguins and move on, that's when I was like, okay, let's buy Stanley Cup tickets. We didn't buy Stanley Cup tickets, but that's what I said.
I think all Caps fans could tell you once we beat Penguins in the second round, we knew we were winning.
Even
when we were down against Tampa, I just knew they were winning.
Honestly, I was more excited when they beat the Penguins than when they won the Cup.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh my god, this has never happened before.
Right, and I know I shouldn't have been like that, but I was just like...
It's just the cultural
shock.
Oh
my god, they did it.
It's the initial shock of and I think that's just what happened the other day, is I think they showed up and they were like, oh, we're a good team, this should be fine, it's just playoffs, it's no different than anything else, and then
that was their
got smoked.
Wake-up call,
Yeah,
so I'm really hoping that's really put a fire underneath them.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it lights a fire in their souls, and I hope to see them win in 6. If not, I think they lose in 7.
Yeah. It's close. We'll see.
Either way, it's close. Those two teams, I think, are pretty close overall.
Keep in mind, I want Toronto to win. I just don't think they are.
I've got Toronto in 7.
I had Tampa in 7.
It's tough, but I have Toronto in 7.
I would love to say it's Leafs in 6. That's what my heart says, but I know I watched something wrong. I saw what happened. When I made my predictions, I was like, oh, it was Leafs in 6, and even after that game, I was like, I'm sticking with it.
Yeah,
it's like I'm staying true to what I wrote down, because I wrote down some predictions before the playoffs started, and even after watching the first games, I'm like, I'm keeping what I wrote, because I'm trying not to be biased of what I thought after watching the games, and so that's what I'm trying to do here. Is just
it's tough not to let that happen, though.
I know.
I opened
talking about this.
We opened the show.
We tweaked our.
Yeah.
I'm not tweaking. These are what I wrote down before the season.
Yeah, no,
same here, but
you're tweaking. I'm not.
Yeah. We opened the show with. I'm not going to hold you guys to no reaction from Game 1 because we've seen Game 1.
Yeah.
So feel free.
I know. I had to write it down because I was like, I'm going to absolutely change my answers after this. Like, because after watching that game, I'd be like, oh, this is gonna be a sweep from the Lightning. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, I think the Leafs are about to get swept under the rug. Like, they were a speed bump. Like, I don't.
All right, moving on to the next series, Carolina and the New York Islanders.
Okay. So, a couple injuries for that team.
Yeah.
A couple big injuries. I still think Hurricanes.
Yeah, we said the same thing.
How many did you guys have?
6.
I had 5.
I have it in 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
What do you think? I said 5, yeah?
You said 5.
I don't remember it. I didn't write any of this down.
Hurricanes have been hit by some injuries this year. And I think so have the Islanders, if I'm not
Matthew
mistaken.
Barzal he was their best
Yeah.
forward. He was injured at the end of the season. I think he's back, but again, he's still fighting off injury.
Yeah. And the Islanders don't have that much depth.
No,
I
they're
don't
all
feel like
they're
I feel
all
like
old and
they
slow.
Yeah. And so I still said that even though they don't have any depth, they have quality.
They have Ilya Sorokin. They have a goalie.
Yeah.
It's super important.
Yeah. If
Like,
they
it's
win
like
this
so
series, it's
important.
because Ilya Sorokin stole it.
It's like the issue is you don't need a star player. You just need a lot of decent players. Like,
And a
but the
goalie.
stars definitely help. They definitely help. But a star goalie definitely helps. But I don't think you need like all stars on your team.
No, you don't.
Well,
So-
But you do need a star goalie.
yes, but
Yeah.
in these past Stanley Cups, star power has proven
Very
very
helpful.
important.
Very helpful.
Because like I would say the last team that didn't really have like a true elite superstar that won the cup was the St. Louis Blues, but they had
Tarasenko.
I wouldn't consider him a star. It's just they had a lot of depth.
He hadn't. I don't think he had completely broken out as much as.
Because he was
Well,
so
here's the thing.
Tarasenko was
The-
a star, then he had dealt with a ton of injuries, and then he had a really
Right.
good playoff
That's what I mean.
run.
Like
There's-
he hadn't come like.
And then
back.
Ryan O'Reilly was really good.
There's
They had
two ways.
Pietrangelo.
There's
They had a lot
two
of
ways
depth.
to win a playoff. There's 2 ways to win in the NHL playoffs. Either have a really deep team with no true star and an elite goaltender, or have a roster full of stars and a good goaltender.
Yeah.
A mildly decent goaltender.
You need better than decent. You still need a good goaltender.
Yeah.
But your roster either needs to be star-studded, or you need to have an elite goaltender. I couldn't think of an example where a team that won the cup didn't have either of those.
Yeah. Because I would say, like, the LA Kings, they didn't really have, like, okay, Anze Kopitar was good, but Jonathan Quick.
They had Jonathan Quick.
They had Jonathan Quick.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have won the cups if it weren't for Jonathan Quick.
Exactly. It's one or the other, and if you have both, then you're,
Yeah.
an unstoppable force.
Like the 2011 Boston Bruins, Tim Thomas.
Mhm.
They wouldn't have won that cup without Tim Thomas.
So that's how it is in the NHL. That's why I love goalies so much,
Oh yeah.
because it's so hard what they do. It's impossible. I could never.
There's like so much pressure.
couldn't-
It's
I couldn't
like the
dream of
most
it.
important position.
I couldn't dream of being a goalie in hockey.
Yeah.
So moving on to
Yeah.
Devils Rangers.
Yep.
I have Rangers in 7.
Same here.
Um,
Well, I think I had Rangers in 6 because I changed my answer, but initially I had Rangers in 7.
Yeah.
I have Rangers in 7. Jack Hughes is on big stage for the first time. I don't know if he has that much great experience in a situation like this.
No experience.
First playoff experience.
Yeah.
Right, but like he's had some pretty big games, but like I don't think any are as big as playoffs.
No.
And then I just think the Rangers have a pretty good firepower. I think it'll be pretty good. Just ultimately depends on whether or not they keep it put together like they have. So I just kind of shocked they're at 3. I'm surprised they didn't leap over the Devils.
Well, it's because they had a lot of inconsistency earlier in the year,
I
and then they
know.
got Kane, Tarasenko, and they lit it up later in the season.
Yeah, and so I figured it doesn't matter.
And then, and then
And then
Colorado, Seattle. That's
yeah,
where we
Colorado,
left off.
Seattle. I have. Okay, I have Avalanche.
Huh?
And
I just have 5.
All right.
I'm in 5.
that's what I had him initially.
Peter's about to walk through the door. So,
Oh, we get to do this all over again.
yeah, we do. He won't go in depth on anything, though. I don't
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if he went into depth on any of the predictions he had.
Yeah. This will be fun.
Should
I can't wait to
go
hear
out
this.
and get him?
No, I used my my magic button on my phone to open the
Oh,
door.
hey, look, there he is.
It's so cool. I didn't know we had a magic button.
I always have the magic button.
How do you think I got in here?
It's a good question.
I got the magic button.
I thought someone must have opened it for you,
Yeah.
but it turns out it was Jeremy.
Yeah, it was a magic button.
I've got this wonderful app that lets me hit a button.
All right, so I'm gonna give you the rundown they gave me. We've already been through the Eastern Conference, so you're gonna really quickly go through your predictions of the Eastern Conference. Then you're gonna quickly give the
Team and games.
team games, and then
If you want to go into any detail, feel free.
we did a little bit of detail for mine. I figure there will be even less for you. Mine was very quickly.
All right. Do you just want me to read it out to you?
You can. I wrote something.
He probably got his information from Hayden. This is Hayden via Peter.
No, it's not.
No?
No, it's from an ESPN Plus article.
Oh, well, there you go. He's got the
It's only slightly worse than Hayden.
ESPN via Peter.
If I can find this guy, I don't think that he actually
That's
writes
amazing.
anything big.
All right.
Oh, wait, Hayden says he's got me. There we go, Hayden. I'll trust you more.
I
Alright.
love that Hayden listens to this and is able to message us.
I-
I love Hayden.
He's not watching the YouTube.
Uh,
I don't know how he's listening.
He's probably on
WXJM.
WXJM.org.
88.7, huh?
What's your picks, Hayden?
All right. Bruins, Panthers. Who you got, Peter? Hayden.
Hayden says that he has a car with a radio,
Oh yeah.
and he has Bruins.
Bruins. Peter,
Yeah.
how many games?
How many games, Hayden?
I love this. I love every time this happens.
Should have just called in.
The minimum.
4.
Okay.
All right. The minimum.
Toronto and Tampa.
What we got, Hayden? We got Tampa.
Tampa.
How many games?
The
Give him a
maximum.
second. Give him a second.
The maximum. He's going to say 7.
Max Scherzer was
Toronto,
ejected.
don't break the curse. It was, and 6.
Gotcha.
Oh, wow.
Carolina and the New York Islanders.
What we got in Carolina or New York Islanders?
This is fun. Oh, what just happened?
None of you guys are gonna care about it.
It's baseball.
It's baseball.
Okay, go for it.
We'll get to it later. It's not
Okay.
like breaking news.
I
But
don't
it's-
know, Peter. You picked. We're gonna go with the Islanders then.
Ooh.
How many games?
Here, let me tell you. Pick the Hurricanes.
I'm
No,
gonna
you
go
picked
with
the Islanders.
just because of that
Elias
reason.
Sorokin. They've got a good goalie who could steal the series.
Is that the President Award thing?
Nah, that's the
President's
Bruins.
Trophy. President's Trophy is best record in the regular season.
In my article, someone said that it was gonna break the President's curse was gonna be broken.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
means that the Bruins are gonna lose. Oh, sorry, the Bruins are gonna win.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hayden may have read the same article, right?
You got games?
Games for
We're gonna go 4, 5.
5.
Five.
Yeah, 4 is impossible for the Islanders.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
then
know how to read. Neither do I. Hayden.
last one, Devils, Rangers. Who you got?
Uh,
And then we're gonna move to the West.
Devils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many games?
We're gonna go with a solid 6 games, right, Hayden?
It's a good guess. It's a good guess.
And then the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Colorado Avalanche versus the Seattle Kraken.
Hayden, I have no idea how to say that name. There's no shot in which of it.
Spell it for me.
VITE.
Vitek
Vanacek,
Vanacek.
yeah.
You said something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Peter. Who you got? The second-year team, Seattle Kraken, versus the defending Stanley Cup champions, Colorado Avalanche.
Kraken are like sea ducks.
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
Quack, quack.
sure.
Quack, quack, baby. Always.
Quack, quack all the way.
Quack, quack all the way.
Well, there's the answer.
Kraken. I love it. All right. Moving on. My favorite series.
My favorite series.
His
too.
favorite series.
Oh my god.
Your favorite series.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Maybe your favorite series.
You were talking about the Knights?
No.
No.
Okay.
We're talking about the Dallas Stars
Stars.
taking on the
Oh.
Minnesota Wild.
Uh,
Ooh, I
So,
love this.
Me and Jeremy watched that game in its entirety. We stayed up to 2 a.m. because it
Such a
went
good
into
game.
double
It was
overtime.
such a good game.
And it was good old fashioned hockey. It was low scoring. It was tied for most of the game, and they beat the absolute crap out of each other.
Yeah, they did.
Because Joe Pavelski got hurt off of a late hit from Matt Dumba, and then the Wild just hit everything. That moved, and then Dallas retaliated, and the refs weren't calling anything except like a few penalties here and there, but they weren't calling anything.
My favorite brand of hockey, goalies.
Yeah.
And a little bit of defense, but mostly goalies.
Like Jake Ottinger stood on his
I
head.
love Jake Ottinger.
Eric Gustafsson also had a really good game in the Wild defense. You had defensemen diving to stick out their sticks to block a wide open net. You had players just tying up last second and the puck goes wide. It was such an intense game. But going back to the analysis, Minnesota doesn't have their best center in Joel Eriksson. They got really injured last game. Like Ryan Hartman was limping. Kirill also looked like he has like some nagging injury in his leg.
How do you limp while skating?
How do you limp while not skating?
Well, like your leg isn't moving.
Same way.
But you're like skating.
Yeah.
So your leg's not moving.
There you go. You nailed it.
Yeah.
So how do you?
You kind of
limp while
see them like wince or like kind of like stride weirdly.
You ever seen a figure skater?
Yeah, my brother was a figure skater.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, it's not.
No? You ever do one of those one-leg twirls? One-leg skate around the ices?
Yeah, he did.
That.
He dislocated his knee twice.
Oh.
Fun.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Sorry, Mom.
ouch.
Anyway,
Yeah.
this is going to be such a fun series. Game 1 was brutal.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these teams are going to survive this series. I think
Yeah.
they're actually going to cut it off short.
Whatever team survives this series is not gonna make it past the second round just because they're gonna be too.
Which is a
beat up
real
on it.
shame because
Yeah.
I love the way these teams play.
Yeah.
I love the way both of them play.
It's like Joe Pavelski. I don't know how hurt he's for, but if he's gone long term, then that's going to be a huge blow for the Dallas Stars for this series. Dallas has Jason Robertson and Rupe Hintz and a really good forward depth. And I would say for Minnesota, I would give them the edge on defense. I like their defenseman better because Jared Spurgeon is such an underrated
I want
defenseman.
to point out that
Brodeen
Peter's mom has
is good.
already texted him about that. Peter's mom has already texted him about the figure skating comment.
That's
I
hilarious.
love that. Thank you so much.
Listen, Mom, you have to remember that
He has to justify his actions.
I don't want to get an angry call after this, okay?
Yeah.
I would be really happy to hear that you got an angry call.
I probably will.
I think you deserve it.
No, I don't. I have to go to watch his practices.
All right, sorry,
Yeah.
Sean.
Sorry, Mom.
And then I would say in goaltending, I would give a slight edge to Dallas just because Ottinger had a really good playoffs last year.
greatest playoff goalie of all time, Jake Ottinger. Yeah. Sorry, I love
That was a
him
good
so
series,
much.
yeah.
I love him so much. I'm so excited. It's gonna be great. I have Dallas in 7 simply because of Jake Ottinger,
Yeah.
and he's not gonna get beat up. And all they need him to do is stop 59 shots a game, which he is truly capable of doing.
As much as it breaks my heart, before this even started, I have Dallas winning this in 6, and because the Wild just have like some major injuries, and it's only going to get worse throughout the series, and now Dallas is going to come in with a vengeance. And of course, like I said, Ottinger is just really hard to get a goal past, so I have Dallas in 6. So it's a win-win either way, or I don't know how much of a win it is to see my favorite team lose in the first round again. But at least I'll be right
Yeah.
if they win.
Yeah. There you go. Hedge
Yeah.
your bets.
Yeah.
Caleb, Peter, who you have in this series? How many games? Reasons.
All right. Let me go back. Okay. So I have Stars in 6. Sorry, Shane.
It's fine. I have Dallas in 6 too, so
Yeah.
I'm self-aware.
Poor man.
We should know by now, Minnesota fans aren't used to... We're just used to disappointment.
So they rank 7th in goals per game. So
Who does?
Stars.
Gotcha.
And so I just think that they've done really well, just looking from a statistics side. I haven't really watched either of these teams this season, so I really just went and looked at some statistics and just tried to figure it out based off of that. But overall, I think just looking on paper, Dallas is just a better team,
They are.
unfortunately. And so that's the reason that I'm going to have to go with that. I don't actually have too many other reasons, just because I don't watch either of these teams consistently. So,
You said 6, yeah.
yeah, I have them in 6.
Peter, what about you? What you got in this?
I got the Stars.
Nice.
In,
That's 7.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on to the Pacific Division.
Knights, Jets. A very fun series to watch. Game 1 was a lot of fun. There were like 5 dog piles in the net.
And then Winnipeg finally could get one past them.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, Winnipeg has Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah.
Great goalie. Very good goalie.
They also have some star power in Scheifele, Kyle Connor, and Pierre-Luc Dubois.
That's quite the name.
Yeah.
It's a great name. All that being said, I still like the Knights a little bit here. Hellebuck is a goalie that can steal a couple games. He can steal a couple series even. But the Knights are relatively healthy right now. And, you know, if all things fail, you have a two-time Stanley Cup champion, Jonathan Quick,
Yeah.
that can come in and provide a spark off the bench. Because he has the experience. Obviously, he's a little washed from his
Time with the Kings.
Yeah. But he's still a solid goaltender, and I think he has that little switch he can flip in the playoffs still.
And he's going to play pissed off because he was like, I'm going to make the Kings regret they traded me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
he still has that extra gear he can go into.
Yeah.
So if they lose tomorrow, they play tomorrow?
They play tomorrow, yeah.
If they lose again tomorrow, I expect them to switch to him. And I think he will be able to win him a series.
For sure.
Because he's angry.
So before this, just Winnipeg was a super inconsistent team. Their depth is kind of suspect, but they definitely have their stars, like we said. They have Hellebuck, Josh Morrissey, could be a Defenseman of the Year finalist. But Vegas, they also have incredible depth. They have Pietrangelo, they have Shea Theodore, Jack Eichel, first time in the playoffs for him. We'll see what he does. It was a rough first game, but I think Vegas, they still have the depth. They have a lot of experience making playoff runs. They have Mark Stone back. I still have Vegas in this. I have Vegas in 5. I'm not confident in that 5 as I used to be. I think this could be a lot closer. I think it's probably going to go Vegas in 6 for me.
Yeah, I didn't say the number of games. It's going to be 7.
Yeah.
I'm going to up that. I think I had 6 before, but I'm going to up that to 7. Because I think it's going to take a bit for Vegas to figure out the goalie situation. Yeah.
Alright, so I said that it was the Knights. I said that they win in 6.
Mhm.
So when the Knights played the Jets all 3 times this season, they outscored the Jets 13-8. And so I just can't imagine them just blowing it after beating the same team 3 times in a season. So,
But keep in mind that was earlier in the season, and Logan Thompson was healthy, and he was...
Yes, but I just can't imagine a team that was playing...
Did you do a violation?
Did I?
No.
Oh.
Peter did, though.
No, he didn't. No one did a violation yet.
Yeah, he did.
One.
When?
We'll explain it after the show.
I missed it. Okay.
What?
I knew I was holding it for a reason.
Oh, I missed something. Yeah. I just think that the Knights are just they still have enough pieces and enough depth to make up for that little loss. Well, it's not really a little loss; it's quite a loss. But I still think they have enough to make up for that.
Peter, who you got in this series?
Jets in 6.
Jets in 6. I like it. Final series of the first round, and then we'll do Stanley Cup predictions. Then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Oilers versus Kings. Rematch of the first round from last series. We have McDavid and Draisaitl and Kane against the Kings.
Yeah, the Kings just, again, a lot of depth. Anze Kopitar, Drew Doughty are still kicking it. Goaltending has been a revolving door this year. They started Korpisalo, who they got at the deadline. They have Phoenix Copley in there, which was a surprise pick. Like, he didn't play great, but he was winning games, and that's kind of all they needed. They have Quentin Byfield, who's an up-and-coming player. They have a lot of rotating cast of contributors on defense. They have just really good depth all in up and down that Kings lineup. They're also both teams that score a lot of goals but cannot play defense to save their lives. So really, it's going to be a really high-scoring series like it was last year. And keep in mind, the Kings were up 2-0 last season, and then Edmonton came back and won in Game 7. So and it was a close overtime game off a power play goal. The series is still up to anybody, but I still think it's going to be really close, and I still have the Oilers with that star power and McDavid going for 7 games.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I've got the Oilers. I hate their goaltender situation, but Skinner has played good enough.
Yeah.
With the offense that team can create, he's played good enough. On any other team, he has not played good enough.
Yeah. I think his defense also really let him down last game. They just left the guy wide open in the slot for that overtime winner.
So I have Oilers in 7. This is going to be a really fun series to watch. It's going to be a lot of action. So, yeah. This one and the Dallas-Minnesota series are like the opposites of each other.
But both fun in their own ways.
Yeah, both a lot of fun.
I'll keep my my analysis pretty simple here. I'll keep it short, sweet. Connor McDavid, 153 points this season.
It's a good point.
He has been quite explosive for this year. That Oilers offense features some great stats, some like amazing stats for being all on one team.
Yeah. And
it
was like the first time 3 players had over 100 points on the same team since like the 90s.
Yeah. It was
him, Draisaitl,
and Nugent Hopkins.
60 goals.
He almost had 70.
Yeah. Somebody else had 50.
Draisaitl had 50.
And then
50?
Yeah.
Nugent Hopkins had like a whole bunch of assists.
Yeah.
So, and then they also featured 2 30 goal scorers.
Hyman and...
Did Kane play enough games to get to 30?
I can't ever
Vander
remember
Kane
names.
did not play enough games.
I just remembered the stats.
Hyman was for sure one of them, and I want to say Nugent Hopkins.
It's probably
also.
Nugent Hopkins because he got to 100 points.
Yeah, so he had
And I just don't think the Kings have enough to stop The Kings also have a little bit of a penalty problem. I think that's going to be part of their issue. I didn't see Game 1. I don't know how that went.
Overtime.
Oilers blew a...
Kings won in overtime.
Really?
Oilers had a
real tight
3-1...
3-1 lead in the third period, and they blew it.
The Kings scored with like 17 seconds left to send it to overtime.
That's really disappointing.
Yeah.
But I still have Oilers in 6. I just think that offense is just too much. I think it's going to be, like you guys said, so it's just going to be so many points. It's just not going to be that much of a defensive game.
All right, Peter, who you got in this last series?
We'll go Oilers and beat Kings in 6.
All right.
He just listened to me.
Yeah, he did.
Do we want to do our finals predictions?
Finals predictions, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
My finals prediction this year is going to be the Oilers taking on the Maple Leafs.
Ooh, Canadian matchup.
Yeah, and the Maple Leafs are going to win that because once they get out of the first round, it's going to be wraps.
I have Boston going against the Oilers, and I have Boston winning.
See, I wasn't sure about the Oilers.
See,
I'm having second thoughts after that first game because it reminded me how bad they were defensively.
It's just because like the only other I have the only other team that I think would beat them is in actually, you know what, the second round might be it, but it would be the Stars or the Wild after the Kraken win.
If it was Wild versus the Oilers, I would pick the Wild because Wild.
But they're going to be so beat up that I can't pick them.
That's fair.
That's the difference.
See, I have the opposite of Shane. I have Boston and Oilers, but I have Oilers.
Yeah.
I think that would be a fun series.
Connor
to watch.
McDavid. That's kind of all you have to say for the Oilers.
Analysis simple here, guys.
McDavid.
Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Done.
Dude, but imagine a McDavid versus Matthews Stanley Cup. Oh,
I think it'd be fun.
That'd be awesome. That'd be so much fun.
I think.
Canada would be rejoicing because oh my god, a Canadian team's gonna win the cup.
I think it would be good for not only the sport but just fans all around.
Yeah.
Like, not only is it like a good look to have two of the best teams, but also just like it's Canada versus U.S. It's great for fans on both sides of the border. I mean, it's just, and it's two teams.
The best player in the world at the biggest possible stage, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like there's so many things that could go right in that matchup, but I'm afraid that it might not come down to it.
Yeah.
Which I hope it comes down to some of the best players in the world, just on the biggest stage, not like some of the other games that we have witnessed for championships as of recent.
Yes, sir. Peter, what's your Stanley Cup matchup?
I'll go Bruins, Oilers in 6.
Awesome. Well, we have reached the top of the hour here on WXJM 88.7 FM Harrisonburg, Virginia, and WXJM.org. My name is Jeremy Lapidus, host of this Triple Threat Show, joined as always by my three friends and co-hosts,
Shane Brisland,
the guy who can't figure out a 2x2 Rubik's Cube,
and
I've been trying to solve it. My ADHD is like solve Rubik's Cube, and I just can't.
I'll leave this up to you. Do you want to talk quarterbacks or NBA first?
Let's go NBA. We had some fun suspensions.
Okay, we'll start.
Also was the players vote.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that did happen.
Yeah. And
all right.
There were some really big things from that.
Yeah. So let's start with the suspensions, and then we'll move into player votes. Real quick, Kings up 2-0. Very exciting.
Yep.
That's
shocking.
2 beams in the sky. I made Shane miss like 5 minutes of his hockey game to show him the beam.
Why did you do that?
Because I wanted to show him the beam.
One thing Shane has.
I needed to show him the beam.
I think it was only like
it was like 1 minute,
two or 3 minutes.
But I needed to show him the beam.
It wasn't really. I didn't miss that much of the game, but yeah.
He needed to see the beam.
Like, and I saw it, and I'm like, you really prevented me from watching hockey for that.
Anyway.
And then Peter and Caleb are 2 games closer to eating some hot wings.
We'll have to see.
I know.
But that's been a really fun series so far. Obviously, the big story coming out of Game 2 is Draymond Green stomping, giving a
good curb stop,
real good curb stop to Sabonis. After, to be fair, he was grabbing his leg, but
he claims that he's been grabbing his leg this entire series so far, which he has been, but it does not warrant getting stomped in.
Yeah.
No,
this isn't WWE. It doesn't warrant getting stomped in by.
I'm glad he's
Draymond.
okay. I thought he might have broken his ribs the way that he was writhing on the floor.
Oh no! I mean, I don't think he got stomped that hard.
I mean, it looked pretty hard. It looked pretty hard.
Yeah, but if you got stomped hard enough, you would at least have bruised ribs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If he misses Game 3, I won't be sure.
I don't think he's missing Game 3. The X-rays came back negative.
Oh, I thought you were saying Draymond.
Oh no.
No, Draymond's suspended.
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah. So Draymond has been suspended for 1 game. But no, I saw like a compilation of Draymond grabbing other players' legs and them not stepping on him today. It was like
that's actually really funny.
I was gonna send it in chat, but I forgot to. I'll see if I can re-find it. But I'll send that to you guys. It was just like a minute and a half long of him grabbing other players' legs and then not stomping on his chest. So, it's definitely avoidable. It's not okay, but it happened. He got suspended for a game. How does that affect the Warriors?
Nothing.
Really?
I think that they will actually win Game 3 now.
Really?
I think they might look a little bit better.
Yeah. Draymond spreads the floor way too thin. And this will also allow some of their more key players. I also think Jordan Poole will play a lot better with Draymond not playing with him.
Why do you say that?
Because Draymond punched Jordan Poole in the face at the beginning.
Oh, he did doing that. He did do that.
I don't think I'd want to be on a team with somebody who's punching me in the face.
So
that's fair.
I think that Jordan Poole is a lot more vital to that team than Draymond ever has been in the past 2 years. In the past 2 years, when
Draymond was in his prime, he was really important.
He was really important, but now, I mean, he's. It's bad when your mom goes to Twitter and says, "I don't know who this is. This isn't the Draymond I know."
Did she really do that? I missed that.
She not last game, but she said it during the season. He was playing so bad.
Oh, okay.
That his mom literally said,
I don't know this kid.
I don't know who this is. This isn't my son.
This ain't
Getting
my child.
disowned by your mom on Twitter.
Yeah.
This ain't my child.
Yeah, like, he's genuinely, he's not a good person on the court. He was voted by players as one of the most overrated players in the game today.
I thought Trae Young was voted the most overrated player.
I said one of Trae Young's voted the most. And he talks trash, but he can't back it up. So he's literally the worst type of player. So it will be actually an interesting game without a gigantic crybaby on the court.
Yeah, and the Warriors better at home, obviously. I just think Draymond Green, obviously not as good as he was 5-6 years ago, but his defense is still pretty solid. Yes, it is. His defense is still pretty solid.
Seems like Peter's agree to disagree there.
I know.
I think he's a liability.
On offense, absolutely.
And on defense.
Really?
Yeah. He does not match well against guards, which a lot of people try and switch him onto. He used to be able to do that very well. Now he can't. They easily get by him. And then with bigger players, I mean, he has never been able to stop very big players. So, I mean, in a matchup with, if they somehow made it to the finals, which based on how they're playing, they're not. If they somehow made it to the finals with Joel Embiid on the other side, I mean, it'd be a long day. It'd be a long day. So, I mean, but I do think they'll win Game 3 without him.
All right, that's fair. Real quick before we get into more of the players' votes, another series that I have enjoyed watching so far, the Suns-Clippers series. Tied at 1. Mm-hmm. Game 1 obviously went to the Clippers. Game 2 went to the Suns. What have you guys thought about that series so far, watching it?
That Kawhi Leonard, who used to be known as the greatest defensive player in the league, is now nowhere close to being a good defensive player. He
is constantly, I was watching Kevin Durant just sauce him up all the time.
You can argue, oh yeah, it's Kevin Durant. Like, he's, one of the most unstoppable players to ever play the game. But I think the people who say that don't remember how good Kawhi Leonard was at defense. This was a guy who literally, in LeBron's prime, would stop LeBron. And so...
Didn't he, carry Toronto to a championship, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And then promptly left.
Yeah.
It's just, it's embarrassing. I think that the Suns are going to win it.
Oh, yeah. I turned it on at a little after halftime when it was a tie game. Mm-hmm. And that entire second half, the Clippers couldn't get anything going. Russell Westbrook missed 5 dunks.
Well, yeah, because everyone on Twitter after the first game was saying the same thing of, oh, look how well Russell's playing. And it was like, just wait until the mic drops.
He did have an all-around pretty good game, honestly.
Russell Westbrook will never win an NBA championship.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, he's not going to win.
No.
He's going to retire soon, and a contending team...
Not because he wants to.
No, not because he wants to, because the team isn't going to sign him.
For the money he wants.
Yeah. And a contending team isn't really going to give him the money he wants, so he's going to have to go to, a mid-team.
The Wizards.
China.
Welcome home!
He's going to the Wizards.
He's going to China.
Shanghai Sharks.
Yeah, the Shanghai Sharks need him.
They just got suspended from the playoffs, actually.
What
Does
for?
not shock.
For fixing games.
Does not shock.
Anyway.
Well, if you want to play a certain team in the playoffs, wouldn't you start fixing games?
No, this was the playoffs.
Oh, they did it in the playoffs?
It was a series, and Eric Bledsoe was suspended for a couple games. And they were like, okay, so we're gonna lose a game, so we play he was suspended for 4 games. So they wanted to play the full 3-game series, so in the next round he would only miss 1 game instead of 2. So they won the first game pretty handily, and then they sat their starters in the second game. And then in the third game, the opposing team just stopped playing basketball with 2 minutes left when they were up by 6. And then they lost by 4. So both of those teams got suspended for the playoffs.
Yeah, kind of deserved.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
It's a little funny.
It's definitely funny.
But yeah.
I think that's great. That's how you play sports ball.
That's what just happened. I'm sorry, Peter.
It's okay.
Everywhere I turn, his foot is there.
Those legs cover so much space.
It's like I go this way, his feet are here. I turn this way, his feet are also there.
Can't help it, too.
You know what I think would be funny?
What's that?
Is next year, when I've moved, can you guys replace me with somebody who doesn't know anything about sports?
I mean, I don't really have a lot of people left that know a lot about sports.
No. I want somebody who doesn't know a drop about sports. So they're just over here like, yeah, sports ball. Like, I don't know why, but I think that would be the funniest thing ever. And then, see how much they grow over the year, and, how much better at understanding sports they become.
You gotta find someone who's willing to come here.
Yeah, we'll find
not
someone.
know what the heck we'll talk about for the entire year.
I think it'd be funny.
It'd be hilarious.
It would absolutely add some funny pizzazz.
We'll see about that.
Yeah. Was there players vote?
Oh yeah.
Go for that. What we miss? What's the important things coming out of there?
I quickly perused the article, but one of the funniest parts was when they said the overrated players. And they said for Gobert, to me, it's like he blocks shots. What else is he really doing? He's 7'3". And then someone said that Tristan Thompson was their most overrated player. And it said someone like him has made his entire career just playing with LeBron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But everyone, and I agree with this, argued the same thing. No one is overrating Tristan Thompson. We all think he's horrible.
I didn't even realize he was still in the league.
Yeah. A big one, though. Overwhelmingly, Joel Embiid is the player's MVP. Overwhelmingly. And it's not even close.
Does the NBA not have a player's MVP?
I mean, that's what it is. That's what this is.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah,
what that was.
like
But is
the
it like an
players
actual
voted.
award?
It's not an actual. The most sports don't have an actual award for that. They just anonymously say, "Hey, who's your MVP?" They just ask a bunch of questions. The NFL does that. The NBA does that.
Yeah.
The NHL, I know, does an award.
Yeah.
But
it's like the
no other
players-
sport does that,
the
as far
players
as
of
I know.
MVP and then the media MVP.
Yeah.
But it's just like it doesn't really matter this year just because McDavid's going to win everything.
Right.
McDavid. Well, I mean, it's just played so.
So Joel Embiid won the Players MVP by 50%. He had 50,
That's a lot.
He won by 50.
By a margin of 50%?
No, he had 50% of it.
Wow.
Oh. I thought you meant like the next closest person was 50%.
No, the next closest person was 25%, and that was Jokic.
Okay. So it was a two-man race. No one else said anyone.
No.
Oh, there's 25% of people. That's right. 25% is left.
And then 15% went to Giannis, and 3.9% went to Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum?
Really?
Jason Tatum's having
he's having a great season, but he's not an MVP.
No, he's not an MVP, and that's why he's not in contention, but I can see the argument.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know much about basketball, and I watched a bit of the... No. Anyway, when I watched the Celtics last year, Tatum...
Like he was trying to say.
No.
Tatum was a fun player to watch.
And then...
What was I even trying to say?
A bit.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I think you were trying to say. I was trying to when I watched a bit of the Celtics.
Yeah.
You.
You combined a bit of
Celtics
and a bit of Celtics, and it just did not sound.
Those words do not combine well together.
No. How about we start spacing the words out?
Yeah.
That way there is no confusion.
Best defender went to Drew Holiday. Won it by he had 28% of the vote, nearly 29.
Good for him.
Second was Luke Dort of the Thunder.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, that one makes sense.
Yeah. Notably, Patrick Beverly wasn't even in the top 10.
I think everyone just hates him.
Oh, yeah.
There's no one's gonna vote for him, even if
Neither
he deserves
was Rudy
it.
Gobert. Rudy Gobert wasn't in the top 10 either.
Well, he didn't deserve it this year.
Oh, of course he did.
I'm still reeling when he hasn't made a slip.
Not that we know of.
That's very true, actually.
And then the next vote was, what player would you want to start your entire roster with? If you had to start over, expansion draft, and they said go to town, pick one player, but that's it, one player, and then you can...
It'd probably be Luka.
No.
Really?
This player won by...
Oh, because he can't play defense, so I guess not.
lot.
Hold on.
Wow,
Give me a conference.
bar.
Conference East.
East?
Yeah. It's pretty obvious.
Is it Tatum?
Oh, it's Giannis.
Giannis?
Giannis.
I guess he's still pretty young.
He's 28.
I thought he was like 32 right now.
He's 28.
I was thinking of younger players. Yeah.
Most overrated player went to Trae Young.
Yeah, it did. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it did.
And then he dropped a stinker the next night.
What are you talking about? No, he played fantastic. my Atlanta team would never.
People said that he talks a lot of trash for someone who's accomplished nothing.
Yeah.
And most underrated player went to Drew Holiday.
That's fair.
The thing that stirred online, though, was they had the greatest player of all time vote. And newsflash, Michael Jordan still won.
Okay.
How close was it?
It was a lot closer than it used to be. So Michael Jordan won by, he had 58% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron got 33,
Wow.
which is a lot closer than it usually is.
Who's third on that list?
Third on the list is Kobe. Which anyone who votes for Kobe is actually voting for Jordan that just only watched Kobe. Because if you say Kobe's the best player, and then you have Jordan, who's essentially the better version of Kobe, then you're voting for Jordan.
Somebody's going to be mad at you.
If they want to argue with me when Jordan has almost every single statistic better than him except for all-time points, and if they say that, then LeBron's better than Jordan as well.
Was Jordan better on like a per game average than LeBron? Or...
Yes.
It depends what stat you break down, but generally, yeah.
Gotcha.
Funny enough, 1% voted for Bill Russell. Guess who else was the 1%?
Was it Wilt?
No.
Was it Kareem?
It was Tracy McGrady.
Who the heck is that?
Oh, we love Tracy McGrady. We love Tracy McGrady. Remember?
The only big thing about Tracy McGrady.
Remember that all those times I say it's not over because a guy scored 13 points in 20 seconds?
Yeah.
That was Tracy McGrady.
Yeah.
You should watch the clip on YouTube. It's really awesome.
Really
Gotcha.
The other team just after he scored, they basically just kept inbounding it right to him.
Yeah, but he also had to make.
He had to make the plays
Yeah.
and all this, but it was really awesome, and you should watch that
I
after
want to
the
watch
show.
it again.
You're gonna get my live.
You should watch it
reaction
in
to this.
10 minutes when the show ends, guys.
No, I think it's more entertaining for him
Yeah.
to just see it.
Okay.
So
You guys can talk. I'm just gonna.
next
this.
vote was what player in the league would you not want to fight? And the answer is so obvious to people who know the background of this. But who's your guess? Who's the player? There were two names, but one is the overwhelming.
I know there's like a guy, a center that's like has some kind of fighting background, but he's not like.
Yeah, so you're close enough. So he's not a big
I can't.
name.
I knew he wasn't a starter, and I just can't remember his name right
His
now.
name's James Johnson.
Yeah, no, I never would have gotten that.
Yeah, so James Johnson, his nickname is quite literally Bloodsport. He is a black belt in karate, and he apparently has an amateur kickboxing record of 20-0.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's hilarious because NBA players can't fight, except
No,
for
they
James
can't.
Johnson.
No, they cannot.
James Johnson, like, the thing is like you always hear NBA players can't throw a punch, they can't do anything. James Johnson would beat up 99.999% of the people in this world. Second was Steven Adams.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, apparently someone says that he's really good at wrestling and he likes to wrestle people in the locker room.
I believe it.
So,
Look at him.
yeah. I mean, I believe he's from New Zealand.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure wrestling's decently big in New Zealand.
It sounds like a New Zealand thing. I can't say yes or no to that, but that does sound like a New Zealand thing.
Now, what arena do you think had the best fans? That was the next vote.
The best fans?
Best fans.
Like,
What-
from opposing
no,
players?
like what's the loudest arena? What's
Probably Boston.
Atlanta.
Atlanta?
Well, I'm gonna stick with my Hawks.
It's Boston.
Yeah.
It's Boston.
Boston.
Second was
Boston.
Kings, though. Second was Kings.
Gotta light the beam, man. They're all about that beam.
Worst.
Kings still haven't lost a playoff game since 2006.
They really haven't lost a playoff game since 2006.
Worst fans, though, should be a surprise to no one who watches the NBA. It's the Hornets.
Yikes.
You know, I might have put the Wizards up for that, honestly.
The Hornets had 15% of the vote, and you have to remember how many teams are in the NBA. And then current coach, person who wins every single year, essentially. If other than your current coach, who would you want to play for?
Popovich.
And it's always Pop.
It's always Pop.
It's always Pop.
Why wouldn't it be Pop?
It's always Pop.
Give me one reason why it shouldn't be Pop.
There is no reason. He's the greatest
Exactly.
coach of all
He's
time.
a Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
He's the greatest coach of all time.
He's like the only active coach that's in the Hall of Fame. So-
Next, it was coach that you never want to play for. This one is also very obvious if you know the background of this.
Is it Thibodeau?
It's Thibodeau.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure
Thibodeau.
because he plays his starters like 50 minutes a game.
Yeah, they literally said, yeah, well, he's going to play me 44 minutes, so why on earth would I want to go play for him?
He doesn't use the bench at all,
Yeah,
and then he burns out his stars. That's what happened to Derrick Rose. He like burned him out.
yeah, that's literally why Derrick Rose had his essential career-ending injury, where he's never come back from it, even in
Mm-hmm.
He had 44% of the vote.
Yeah.
Was Thibodeau. Okay, I'm gonna keep this here because this guy's getting thrown around. And then the big one though, who's gonna win the title this year?
The Suns.
Was what the players were saying, and it's not even close. And I think it's gonna surprise a lot of people. Bucks. It's the Bucks.
I did have the Bucks. That's what I said last episode. I changed my mind just now, but
Yeah, no, Bucks. It was 62% of the league thinks it's the Bucks.
really,
Yeah.
that Giannis injury.
I can't remember what I said.
They say he'll be fine.
Yeah, but he's gonna miss game 2.
It's questionable.
He's doubtful.
Yeah. Another big one was who's the worst ref in the league?
Ooh. Oh.
And this is a big one
I
because
wish this was baseball and we could throw Angel up there.
He retired.
This is a big one because players. This is a way for players to speak their minds, because if you talk badly about the officiating, you get like a $50,000 fine. But this is anonymous, so what are they going to do? Fine the entire league? Breaking news. Scott Foster, and it was not even close.
Of course it was Scott Foster.
Everyone said that he is by far the worst. So, to put it in quotes, what someone said, he's the worst ref to ever do it in the NBA. He takes everything personally. He's just awful.
Ouch.
I'll do it.
That's rough.
And then finally, what's the biggest issue facing the league?
What is it? There's a lot of them.
There were 2 that were decently close to one another.
Is it like salary?
No. Number 1's officiating.
Oh yeah.
Okay, fair.
Well, yeah.
They say officiating is horrible.
I didn't know if this was going to be like the drug policy.
No. And second, though, was load management.
Yeah. Yeah.
As in too much playing time?
So
No.
load management in the NBA is something that Kawhi Leonard basically started.
Yeah, so essentially,
It's like getting on the floor to say you were on the floor and then getting off
they
the
just
floor.
they just sit out like every other game so that they won't get hurt.
or
and-
sometimes
yeah.
they'll say, oh, they're injured with like a pinky fracture.
So they're saying they're against that.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Okay,
don't
gotcha.
like it.
Yeah, so it's like some people get
Well, I know what it is. It's just I didn't know if it was like they want more load management or less of it.
They want players to stop not coming onto the
Yeah. Okay.
floor.
I'm tired of seeing Kawhi get on the floor for the first minute of the game,
Yeah.
hit a 3, and then go to the bench for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Another big thing was too many games.
They're not going to do anything about
Yeah.
that though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but more games equals more money to the NBA.
Yeah, but
to the NBA.
They don't care about that though. The players are
no,
just like,
no, that's why I'm saying like the NBA won't change that. More game equal more money.
yeah, especially since I'm pretty sure the NBA still has to pay for the WNBA
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that WNBA is still not positive. So
It's getting close though.
yeah, and I'm glad. I always have to have an argument when it comes to the WNBA. People have to remember that the WNBA is a very new league, so it's going to take a while for it to go positive, but eventually it will.
And even then, I don't think they should split. I think it's a good thing for basketball for them to always be in a partnership.
Well, what I like is that players can now have stock in
Yeah, they
WNBA
can-
teams.
Yeah, players are allowed to now partially own WNBA teams.
Which is huge because that will allow players to like
Market
their
team.
team. Like if I own the Minnesota Lynx and I'm a part of the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm going to be like, hey, come see the Minnesota Lynx.
Mm-hmm.
We have this, and this. I mean, like, or if you own the Las Vegas
Aces.
There isn't a team in Las Vegas, but
The dream.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many things that they can do with it. I think it's awesome. But yeah,
Real quick before we end the show,
Jalen
we
Hurts.
might go a little over, but there's 2 big quarterback stories. We're going to start with Jalen Hurts. He is now the highest paid player, technically, in NFL history. He, a couple days ago, I don't remember,
Why is it technically?
because it's not all guaranteed. Deshaun Watson, if you go by guaranteed money, is the
That's
highest
fair.
paid.
That's fair.
Sorry. He
I
signed
hate the Deshaun Watson
Yeah.
contract. I'm sorry.
he signed
I
a
hate Deshaun
5-year,
Watson.
$255 million contract with 179 point something, 180 million guaranteed.
I think it was 170.
It was like 0.3
or 179.
It was 79 point something. I think it was 0.3.
0.3.
Yeah.
And immediately everyone was like, "Well, what does this mean for Lamar Jackson?"
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. That's because that's the big domino after this. What it means for Lamar Jackson is that he won't get that guaranteed money that he so wants. He's going to get a standard NFL contract. He's going to get 5 years, 260 with 185 guaranteed. That's what he's going to get, and he's either going to take it or he's not going to take it.
I think he's going to get less than that.
He's not he won't accept less than Jalen Hurts. They're just going to basically give him the same contract.
Well, the problem with that is that when was the last time Lamar Jackson made it to a Super Bowl?
When was the last time Jalen Hurts won an MVP?
When was the last time that Lamar Jackson led his team to a Super Bowl? I'd much rather lead a team to a Super Bowl than win an MVP.
I know,
But it's just like, look at the team around him, though.
Ravens just offered Lamar a $200 million guaranteed contract.
That's really good.
Well, apparently Lamar Jackson has already said that he's not signing any contract until they get DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, they got Odell.
It was Odell and DeAndre Hopkins. It wasn't just Odell. No matter how much they try and argue it.
Eagles signed Hurts to a 5-year contract worth $255 million, with $179.3 million guaranteed, making the quarterback the highest paid in NFL history.
We got it.
Dude, we nailed that.
Yeah.
That's like the exact sentence that came out of our mouths.
Yeah, I figured I'd just make it pretty good. The contract that Lamar Jackson has been offered by the Ravens is worth $250 million. So only $5 million less than
But $200 million guaranteed.
But $200 million guaranteed.
So that's why he's not taking it. He wants 260 and that 200 guaranteed. That's probably what he's pushing for right now.
Well, he's not going to get that.
No.
Because the stuff that is listed on there is going to be like, win the Super Bowl. He's not going to win the Super Bowl with the Ravens side.
Oh, well. And then real quick, we can talk more about this in another show if we want, but I don't want to hold you guys for too long. Tua had his press conference today, in which he said, yeah,
I didn't do this.
in which he said
I
he,
felt kind of sad.
yeah,
I'm
he
not
said
gonna lie.
he contemplated retirement a whole bunch, but he decided not to retire because he had a talk with his family. He wanted to play. He wanted his son to see him play. He wanted his son to look up to him and be like, look, I can play this game. And it was that kind of thing. I know you think he should retire, Peter.
Listen,
I don't want to see the man.
I don't, like, I know it's funny. Well, not funny, as in, like, it's always fun to see a player get, like, really hit. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that that's actually a human being behind
Right.
that. And the Dolphins did him so dirty last season.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, he's lucky that he did not get permanent brain
The
damage.
Dolphins are lucky he didn't sue.
He wouldn't sue the
I don't
Dolphins.
think, to be honest, it could.
Yeah, it's probably part of his contract.
That's fair,
Yeah. I mean, they did him so dirty, and he got so unbelievably close to being very, very bad. We haven't seen an injury like that other than DeMar Hamlin's tragic injury.
Oh, he got cleared. DeMar Hamlin got cleared.
Yeah, I saw that. But, you know, I wish he had retired. And that's not me being, like, mean or anything. I completely understand he wants to see his son play. But at what cost? Do you really want to see your son play and potentially you get an even worse injury next year?
Yeah, because it's like, then again, you got to think, do you want your son to have, like, a mentally, full functioning brain
I know.
father, too?
He wants his son to see him play. I think that's really important for him. I think if his son was a little bit old, I don't know how old his son is right now, but I think if his son was 10 right now, or like 7, I think he'd retire.
Yeah.
Because his son would remember him playing as a child. He'd say, my dad played football, and I think that's what he wants. And I think he's going to retire soon. I mean, Tyreek Hill said he was going to retire at 31 after his contract expires. I think Tua might sign one deal and then retire after that, and it won't be a long-term deal. It'll be like a 3 or 4 year deal. His son will see him play, and I think he'll retire. Again, that all depends on how this season goes, obviously.
Right.
If he was this close to retiring after last season, if anything happens this season, I don't think he finishes. I think he just retires. Yeah.
One head injury, and he's done.
Yeah.
Well, based
He
on
calls it quits.
how young his son is, I don't think that we'll see that anytime soon. I just checked how young his son is.
How young
He's
is
born
son?
in 2022.
Oh, okay. I still think a head injury and he's done.
One head injury and I think he calls it quits.
I don't want to see the guy get hurt. I don't want to see anyone get hurt, but I really don't want to see Tua get hurt. And I think he's so injury prone. And it's so unfortunate that he's not retiring. He really needs to just retire.
Yeah.
So,
but
reverse Andrew Luck.
obviously, he's got to come to that conclusion on his own. And we wish him well. We hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, correct.
Next week.
Wait.
Yeah.
49ers. I'm going to do a really quick bit real quick. Okay, so in a much happier tune, 49ers are fielding calls for Trey Lance. They're listening to calls. First call they received, Jets. Jets have still not finished their Aaron Rodgers trade, and so now they are trying to look for counterparts. They are looking for something else so that they can go back to the Packers and be like, hey, look, we have this offer that we can accept, and then you're stuck with Rodgers, and you have to pay him all this money. And Packers have begun looking elsewhere, and Packers received a call from the 49ers. So, I think that here in a couple weeks we could see some quarterbacks moved between those three teams, and I wouldn't be shocked if...
I think these moves need to happen before the draft.
I wouldn't be shocked if
quarterback,
we come back and talk about a three-team trade.
Yeah, so next week, draft is on... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one quick thing about that is, so they're definitely looking for leverage. The reason why the Jets are looking for leverage is because even though in the media the Packers have publicly said, first-round pick, we don't need one. Have you guys seen what they're asking for?
No.
It's crazy. It's ridiculous. And once again, this is behind closed doors stuff, so it could be wrong. I mean, all the times insiders lie about stuff just to get attention. They're like a high school kid. And it's like first next year, a second this year, and then a second, I think another second another year.
A second? Not next year, but the year after.
Yeah, not next year. And then they're like, oh, if Rodgers leaves, at the end of next season, we'll give you a conditional 6th round pick. That was their offer.
I think my favorite report was like, oh, if he retires at the end of next season, we might give you your second pick. Your second 2 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers are absolutely lying through their teeth, and they're just trying to get as much as they can for Rodgers, when honestly they just need to get rid of him, because Rodgers will never play for the Packers. He's already said that. So, I mean, you're just going to be paying the guy $45 million to sit on the bench.
Yeah, and there's going to be more pressure as we get closer to the draft. So I expect this to happen before next week, because the draft is on Thursday. Next week we will have a full first-round mock draft. Got that? First-round mock draft.
Full first round?
I'll have that.
Full first-round mock draft.
I'll have it.
First 10 will be the most important, but full first-round mock draft.
It's mostly that one.
I did one last year, so a lot of work.
You don't have to go too in-depth. Just
Gotcha.
think about it a little bit. Anyway.
I don't, because there's so many of us, I think we'll probably just say our picks, and then we'll be like, they need this, and then we'll...
So you just star a couple teams, fill it out so you're like, oh, this could possibly happen, and then we'll go in depth on the people you star. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in this week to the Triple Threat Show on WXJM, 88.7 FM, Harrisonburg, Virginia, and WXJM.org. Also live on YouTube at the Triple Threat Show, on Twitter at 3Threat Show, and on Instagram at the Triple Threat Show. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I've been your host, Jeremy Lapidus, joined, as always, by my 3 friends and co-hosts,
Shane Brisland.
I never finished the Rubik's Cube.
and Caleb Carney, Peter Kegwin, Shane Brisland, Jeremy Lapidus. Thank you, everybody, so much.